Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be talking about what I feel is the best driver lineup in all the teams for this up and coming season. Yeah, who do I think has, in terms of the constructors, the best driver lineup for this season? So without further ado, let's get into it. So yes, in my opinion, who do I think has the best driver lineup for this season? Now, I'm going to go through all the drivers and all the teams really quickly and just name them all, and then we're obviously going to discuss what my thoughts are, maybe my top three in terms of the teams, what my thoughts are on who has the best driver lineup. So we're quickly going to go through them in the order that's on the website on the Formula 1 site. So Mercedes have Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas for this season. Alpine have Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, who's coming back to the sport. Haas Formula 1 have a new driver lineup of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. McLaren have Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo. Alfa Romeo Racing have Kimi Raikkonen and Antonio Giovinazzi. Red Bull Racing have Max Verstappen and his new teammate for this season, Sergio Perez. Aston Martin, new team for this year, replacing Racing Point as we know, has Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel for this year. Ferrari again have a bit of a new driver lineup as well. Charles Leclerc is in the team, of course, alongside new driver Carlos Sainz. AlphaTauri have Pierre Gasly and another new driver in Yuki Tsunoda. And Williams have the same lineup of George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. Now, in terms of going through these sort of best driver lineups, for me, I've got to put a mention in. It all depends on where Ferrari are this season, but I've got to put a mention into Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. There's obviously been a lot of talk about them recently, and Ferrari have done their sort of team launch. We're still waiting for their car launch to come out, but they have obviously done a team launch and sort of getting to know both drivers. I think it is a really strong, and it's their youngest driver lineup for Ferrari since 1960s or the 1950s. I think it's 1968. I'm not 100%, but yeah, it is one of their youngest driver lineups. But I think it is a good driver lineup. Obviously, we've got Charles Leclerc at the age of 23 and Carlos Sainz at 26. But Carlos Sainz is not old by any stretch of the imagination, and he's a very, very consistent young driver. So I think it is a great driver lineup for Ferrari this season. But I'm not putting them at the top simply because I'm not sure where McLaren. I'm not sure where Ferrari are going to be during the season and how much their sort of power unit has been better for this during winter testing, and if their car has really going to be able to challenge for the top three for this year. I'm also going to put a mention into Aston Martin. Now, I know over the last few years I have sort of had my sort of annoyances with Lance Stroll, but I think he really sort of upped his game last season and really impressed me in a lot of races. So I think he's obviously upped his ante over the last 12 months, and bringing in Sebastian Vettel I think is a good signing for Aston Martin. I think it's only going to help Lance Stroll, and personally I think it's only going to help Sebastian Vettel going forward. I think he needed to get out of that Ferrari sort of bubble, as it were. He needed to get out of there after all them years, and not too much in terms of happiness there. Although it was driving for Ferrari, it's just the last 18 months just hasn't been good for Vettel at Ferrari. So I think getting out, fresh ideas, fresh team, I think it's only going to help Sebastian Vettel. And we know he's a good driver. Yes, he's made the odd mistakes over the last few years, but he is still a top quality driver. So I think that is another team that should have a good mention for driver lineups this year. Quickly mention McLaren. I think Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo, being a McLaren fan, I have to mention it. I think it is a good lineup. Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz have been battling for best qualifier over the last couple of seasons, and it's always been very close. And obviously Lando Norris got his maiden podium at the first race of last year, so he knows how to get the best out of the car now. And obviously having a new teammate at Daniel Ricciardo, we know how good Daniel can be on his day as well. So I think again that is a good driver lineup, and we're not sure where McLaren are going to be this year with that new Mercedes power unit and sort of a new driver lineup as well. So that will be interesting to see what McLaren can do this season. We've obviously got to mention Mercedes because they have been the best in terms of constructors for the last 7 years. So it's 8 years. Sorry. So it has been a great team effort for them, and I think Bottas and Hamilton work tremendously well for Mercedes. So obviously for them, they technically have the best driver lineup because they've won the constructors for the last so many years. So I think Mercedes obviously have to have a shout. But for me, and I've mentioned quite a lot of the teams there, but I think for me the best driver lineup for this year and the best call that was made was to bring Sergio Perez into Red Bull. I think Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez for me is the best driver lineup for this season. We know how good both drivers are. Max Verstappen does have that outright pace, and he is sort of loved by that Red Bull team. It has been Team Verstappen for the last 3 seasons really, so that car is moulded around Max Verstappen, so we know how good he can be in that team. And Sergio Perez again, he is a very consistent driver. Won his first race last year for Racing Point in the Sakir Grand Prix. What a comeback from being at the back of the grid on the first lap after a collision really with Verstappen and Leclerc. And yeah, we know how good he is on terms of strategy. We know how good he is for his tyre management. And so for me, it was a big call for Red Bull to bring him in and replace Alex Albon, or bring somebody in that's not part of the Red Bull Academy, as it were. So it is a big call, and like I've said in many videos previously, I think there will be a bit of a rivalry in that team for this year. I think it will be interesting if Sergio Perez gets the jump on Verstappen in the first 4 races. What sort of happens in terms of Max's mindset? Do Red Bull start thinking, oh, should we go more towards Sergio Perez for the rest of the season? So I think that is going to be the best driver lineup, not just in terms of what's going to come out of it maybe in the paddock, but also in terms of the outright pace for both drivers. Please let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Who do you think in terms of the teams has the best driver lineup for this year? Like I said, I have mentioned Ferrari, Aston Martin, but I think Red Bull Racing for me is the best. Please let me know in the comments who you think is the best, and yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care. See you soon.